My sincere apology to all Satanists ever. Part 1.
All right, welcome back to an all-new episode of the Jason Lee Show. Rose.
So I want to say, on behalf of believers, on behalf of this ministry, I apologize for the hurt caused to the Satanists. I apologize for the hurt that you endured, the religious trauma. I apologize for the hurt on behalf as people grew along their way to maturity. Because a lot of times when people are young and kids, just like you said, I don't know why I said that earlier, but you wouldn't say that now as you've matured. So sometimes we have to give others the same grace that we give ourselves. So all I'm saying is forgive us for those who didn't walk in love and light towards you. Because that's what we were supposed to do. And that is the message. Welcome to Joshua Gates Ministries, where commentary will be made regarding an interview and conversation that was heard by many within and without Christendom. And as we proceed, my prayer is that the commentary and the truth shared by this ministry takes hold in the hearts and minds of the hearers to provide biblical insight, principles, and solutions to real-life situations. In Jesus' name, amen.
You look really good today. You look good every day, but I don't know if I've ever seen you in pink, but the pink really works.
I do not usually wear pink. No, I'm usually in all black. But I don't know. It just felt like a happy color today.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so why pink? Why does pink make you happy?
Pink is just it's just a happy color, like yellow, like bright orange.
Yeah.
You know? When you wake up to like bright colors, you usually have a better day.
Amber Pooh, open the door. It's Tom.
Go away.
Amber, open the door. I just want to talk to you. Amber.
I have nothing to say to you. I told you it's over.
Amber, you're being irrational. Open the door. I bet if I was a mailboy, you'd open the door.
Yes, I would. You know why? Because he's nice to me. Doesn't treat me like a...
I've got a joke for you. What does a man with a 1-inch penis have for breakfast? You give up? This morning I had baby food and therapy. Lots of it. Keith Hadding told me that joke.
All jokes aside, what Amber revealed about colors is an awesome truth. Not her personal truth or my personal truth, but just truth. It applies to her, me, atheists, agnostics, and believers. It applies to all of us. And what I observed in the search for truth and understanding the world around me was that if mankind's existence were a complete accident, then the phenomenon of bright colors having a happy effect on all of our collective moods would be a complete anomaly. Or let me put it in non-scientific terms for those who don't know what phenomenon or anomaly means. An accident tends towards disorder. So in picture form, if I have a car accident or spill some milk or kick a set of dominoes, scientific conjecture reasons that the dominoes would then not fall into an orderly arrangement. It would go against science. It would go against what is observed naturally. Romans 1:20, for since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. Psalms 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands.
Of you early on, and that I've just seen since then and getting to know you personally is like you're really as real as it gets. And I mean that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
But people didn't really get that at first, right?
I mean, I wasn't really allowed to talk for like 2 years. So,
Or were you not allowed to talk? Because you don't give me somebody to
I mean,
control you.
I was young, you know. So when I say I wasn't allowed to talk, I was very young and in a relationship where it was frowned upon to talk.
So how old were you when we first met you? Like in the whole when you were Amber Rose?
It was 2009. I think I came out February. Is it February? Maybe.
So you were how old then?
25, maybe 26. Yeah, about 25. I'm 40 now.
Which I saw on the cards.
Gosh, Jason, let her. I mean, we know, man. This is what I love about Jason, man. He's a smart dude. But if she say she was young, just let her roll with it. But he was like, well, okay, how? So she was 25. And what's interesting is I did my research because this interview intrigued me, which is why I'm sharing it with you today. But then I might splice other segments that she had in other interviews, just doing my research because I was trying to understand. Because as we go through this interview, we're going to see there's a little bit of some conflicting things, and that's why I'm saying I'm going to bring some facts because after hearing a lot of things that were shared, I am going to take the standpoint that as I bring the facts, those things that were shared that were not facts were not done maliciously. I'm going to say, because as I show what is factual against what is shared, I don't want anyone thinking that, okay, Amber's trying to be dishonest. And as you heard, even though he took a sip and started giggling a little bit, he said, well, now you're as real as it gets. And I mean that. But I'm just being funny and analytical myself. But obviously he's analytical. And we can all tell, actually, from the conversation, you'll see that Amber's a smart cookie as well, too. So let's continue.
I was going to get into 40 because me turning 47 this year, you being 40, I really feel like we're defining aging because nobody's going to look, what does looking 40 look like? But I'm going to get to that in a minute because since you started here with the cake talk and was held in the basement against
No, don't say that.
Okay, so I'm just adding. So you're now thrust into the limelight. You're now like the talk of the town, even though you're not talking to the town.
Right.
And everybody thinks because you're walking around Paris Fashion Week and you're living you got the furs and you got all of that, that you're living in paradise. And what I was struck by when we were talking was the hell that you described that you were going through. Can we talk about that?
Sure. As like what part of hell?
Okay, so
are you referring to?
When you get in it, from the outside, when you got in it, did you think that it was it what you thought it was going to be?
Absolutely not. No. So here's the thing for people that are watching, that want to be famous. It is how can I explain it? Again, it was a culture shock. Don't get me wrong. It sounds amazing, but when you're actually living it, you're in like this alternate universe type of mindset. Like you can't believe it's happening, although you appreciate it, although it's very hard because you can no longer be normal. You can't be a normal person anymore. That's over for you. It's literally like as soon as that happens.
It's like 9 days.
As soon as you're famous, and this is one thing that people don't know. Once you are famous forever. That was something that I it was hard for me to deal with.
But what was the hardest lesson?
But yeah, it was very difficult because I couldn't. And then also going back to Philly, right? I want to go see my friends. I want to go to a block party. My friends' cousins having a fish fry down the street. Like I want to go. And it's like, you can't. Your life is different now, and you cannot go there because now it's unsafe for you. And then it was like, you have to deal with essentially millions of people that don't like you for no reason. And mentally, that's not, it's very hard.
But did they not like you because they didn't like him?
No, I think they didn't like me because they felt like I was undeserving.
Now, here's what Jesus was famous for. And then the scriptures explain and give insight, which you won't find in the chemistry or biology or other book, into what's going on with men, to explain why we see the dynamic. And then after Jesus' fame, the end of that was, out of envy, he was delivered up to his own death. So from Jesus' viewpoint, the argument can be made that, hey, we should be brethren. If God is blessing me because of my righteous and just lifestyle, that we all espouse and believe in, then why are you so envious and jealous of me to the point of the betrayal of faith, seeking for my death?
Maybe that was always his type. I don't know.
I don't think he has a type. You know, I think it could pretty much be anybody. I will say that I'm very happy that he's with Cher.
I would say it was the grace of God, but you don't believe in God.
I do not believe in God, no.
I didn't know you didn't believe in God until the day you and I were in my Sprinter. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And we're leaving a party, and Amber's sitting in front of me, and I'm sitting here, and I'm on my phone, and her and somebody that I used to know are talking, and they're talking about God, and it evolved into you're not.
Well, he was an atheist too.
No,
your friend.
No, he is a God-fearing, Bible-thumping.
Okay.
You know.
I don't know if I remember. Okay.
Yeah, but you're not.
No, I'm an atheist for sure.
Not a Satanist.
I'm not a Satanist. No.
And there is a distinction.
Satanists are just they're atheists as well, but they're just more political.
Okay.
They have like it's actually a very rational, logical religion. They help a lot of people, to a lot of women to get abortions in southern states that where they're illegal. They help a lot of the gay community, the LGBTQ plus community. They're really great with that. They just use Satanists to kind of just troll, but they don't believe in Satan at all.
Okay, so.
But earlier,
today we're talking about all things Satanism and activism with Lucian Greaves. I honestly don't know how to answer this question, so I'm going to ask you. When I talk about Satanism, they always say, well, there are some Satanists that do worship the devil, right? Is that a thing, or is that like, I heard like Luciferian, is that like something else? Or can you explain all that?
Yeah, there are theistic Satanists, Satanists who view Satan as an actual supernatural entity that exists and is a isolate consciousness that makes decisions and maybe speaks to people or whatever.
But when I hear somebody say atheist, I hear anti-God. Is that true?
No, it's just the non-belief.
Okay.
So people would say, okay, you're an atheist. Why do you hate God? I don't believe in God, so I can't hate something I don't believe in.
So you don't believe that God exists?
No.
And you don't believe that God has ever existed?
No.
And you don't believe that there's a Jesus or a manger somewhere in Bethlehem?
Sure, Jesus could have been a man that lived on earth. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't care to argue that. It doesn't make him God.
Have you always been an atheist?
No, I was a Christian my whole life.
And then when did you convert to being an atheist?
I would say a couple of years ago.
Just a couple of years ago?
Yeah, it was about a couple of years ago. So I was on a spiritual journey. Started looking into Buddhism, Islam, different denominations of Christianity, kind of trying to see where I fit in. I went to a Buddhist temple. Nothing felt like right. And then I remember just being at church my whole life, and I was just like, people would be like, I felt the spirit. And I never felt no spirit.
Never?
No, I would like always put my hands in the air. Like I would kind of emulate people around me at church. And no, and I couldn't even fake it. It was just like, why is everyone feeling things? I'm not feeling them. I can't even act like I'm feeling them. And I just did my research, and then I realized that I was an atheist. I just believe in science and evolution.
Now this is a photo of Charles Darwin, who proposed the theory of evolution by means of natural selection. While Darwin came to heavily dispute the dogmatic prescriptions of the Anglican Church and Christianity in general, later in life he clarified his position as an agnostic in response to a letter from John Fordyce by saying, "In my most extreme fluctuations, I've never been an atheist." 30 to 37% of scientists identify as non-believers or atheists, and an additional 10 to 28% as agnostic. So most scientists are believers.
God, gave us Jesus as his son from a virgin mother, and I definitely don't believe in the Bible. I think it's like cool stories, but I don't believe in most of the stories in the Bible.
What was the journey that took you on, or what was the thing that took you on the journey to like denouncing Christianity and like finding no way to believe in God?
I think that I just felt like my mom was very deep in the church. My mom goes to church 7 days a week.
Still
and at
right
night.
now.
Yeah, and at night and during the day and in the middle of the night at church, like constantly. But a lot of Christians that I have met throughout my life, I found to be very delusional and liars. And so that's what initially started me into looking into atheism. Not to say that.
Now, delusional, according to the dictionary, is characterized by or holding false beliefs or judgments about external reality that are held despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, typically as a symptom of a mental condition.
I don't believe anything is a monolith. But I realized that I was an atheist, and I think there's no evidence that a God exists. It's just people believe it, and then it becomes true for them. There's no evidence that a God exists at all.
See, when I think of atheists or people who don't believe in God, I think of people who just always believe that. But if you believed in God, did you ever believe deeply in faith? Like, did you ever have a real deep sense?
I mean, I prayed for sure.
Okay.
Definitely prayed. But that's all I knew. Mm-hmm. You know, I was like indoctrinated into Christianity because I was just raised into Christianity. But I don't believe that there's any evidence for a God at all. Mm. Well, there's not actually.
So so when the Bible talks about blasphemy and blasphemy being the one unforgivable sin from God, you don't even believe in that because you don't believe there's God. So there can't be that one sin that is going to condemn you to hell. Do you believe in hell?
No.
So when you
I don't believe in the devil. I don't believe the devil exists. I don't believe in any. I believe that they're fictional characters, and this is probably gonna make people really mad. But I believe that Jesus was a cult leader, and I believe that it actually worked, and they spread his word all around the world.
Jesus is a cult leader? Have you said that publicly before?
Maybe. Probably on my podcast.
Because I just felt the internet shake. Maybe that was God. Huh? Wait,
Jesus, that you?
Jesus is a cult leader?
Yeah. I think it's more likely that he was a cult leader, yeah. I mean, just think about it, Jason. You know? Live, you know, by my word. Do as I say. I'm a selfish God.
Now, everything written in the Bible goes against the teaching of selfishness. For you shall worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God.
You know, spread the word around the world about who I am. And then the people around him were just like, you're crazy. We're going to kill you. Because you're like indoctrinating all these people into your belief system. Like, cults don't have to always be, you know, I mean, he had some good lessons along the way, but...
God, he had some good lessons.
Into my mind.
The image of Jesus scares the shit out of me. And I know that I have, like, religious trauma from that. Also, like, just kind of getting into science and evolution and stuff like that. I eventually turned into an atheist. But, images of Jesus, it scares me. I just think it doesn't look like a figure or a person that I want to subscribe to, that I want to listen to. Knowing all the things that he's done within the Bible, that's not a person that I want to worship. And so that was the beginning of my atheist journey. It was very scary for me.
Yeah, maybe that's a way to describe it to some of the people with an opposing view. It's just, I mean, the way I see it, there's many Jesuses, and I met the wrong one.
Exactly.
But that's imprinted on me now.
Totally.
You know?
Okay, well, maybe there are many Jesuses or Joshuas. There's only one Jesus Christ. And his acts, or what he gained fame and renown for, already shared earlier, was the healings, the miracles, helping lives, assisting people, then building a team around him to go ahead and do that and carry out the word and the message, which is the good news. Now, I guess for some that might be scary, but then again, for someone to be scared of that, they would also have to be scared of going to the doctor, or scared of going to a physician. Right there in Genesis, you open up the book and you'll see that God gives us choice. So we are free to choose. In America, which has laws, if you break the laws, you go to jail. It's very feasible to see in the governance of the whole world, if you break the laws of he who governs the whole world, he's free to send you to hell, which is just another form, ask anybody in jail, they'll say that's a form of hell. Okay. And also, you said getting into science and believing in evolution turned you into an atheist, although the father of evolution said he's never, ever been an atheist. And most scientists believe in God. We observe that atheists are actually in the minority. So it's no surprise that it was hard to find other people who are like-minded. So they're in the minority. Most people actually have faith and believe in a higher power God, or don't haven't come to a conclusion either way. But most scientists believe in God, and most people groups believe in God. And this is why I talked about facts and included so many facts thus far, because you can present facts, and as we go into the conversation, we'll talk about active listening. But just as far as just facts, because it's important to understand what people are saying, what's being communicated. We have to really listen. And then even when we hear words, we can still read in our interpretations, and we can start reading in our emotions into, what's being said and communicated. And then sometimes we have to slow down to really hear what's actually being communicated so that we don't get a misinterpretation. It's like someone is speaking, but you're still hearing your pain, right? There in the Bible, what you said, that scared you. But then you talked about how people said, okay, he's crazy, let's kill him. But the thing about it is, and which I'm trying to make plain is, where did you get that testimony of Jesus from? Because that's not in the Bible. So that's what I'm saying. We can read something and read our own opinion into it. But what I'm saying is the Bible doesn't say that about Jesus. The people accused them out of envy. And then if you hear about the trial and how they set him up and said a whole bunch of different things, they weren't sure. And, they just knew, okay. And it says, okay, what happened is when Jesus started preaching, the people who were in the congregations, the synagogues, the quote unquote churches of the day went out to hear him. So they were losing membership. So then one can easily understand how they were envious and how that all came about. But when to say, once again, to say, they thought he was crazy and all these other things, the Bible says specifically people who had quote unquote beef with Jesus said, where did he have this great wisdom? And they were offended. They said, he's just a carpenter's son. And probably in comparison, they're like, okay, but we're lawyers, we're studied. So why does he have this great wisdom? So all I'm saying is, if where are these other testimonies coming from? Where are you getting these? Where are you getting these ideas? And where can someone else research and find these ideas?